What was your general impression of what happened?
Well, I mean, first of all, the fact that this is happening is a big thing because I think
Yes,
for quite some time our friends in the Republican Party were even questioning the legitimacy of them standing against someone else.
Yes.
The last time I was here, we were looking at the Biden versus Trump
That's
debate, right? And I think for quite some time, the Republican Party was still wrapping their head around the fact that perhaps Trump did too good, or Biden rather did too bad,
Yes.
for a complete reshuffle to happen. I think the other thing was also whether there'll be an acceptance of the parameters of the debate. And I felt that non-Fox News, the more liberal media taking it up, was always going to be a challenge because
Yes.
there was always going to be this question about whether they're going to be biased, whether they're going to interfere too much. I mean, I saw some comments by Republican-leaning friends and folks who were saying, "Oh, it's like 3 versus 1."
Yes.
So I think that always creates a kind of a shadow when it makes it hard for the moderators to fulfill their job fully. Because
That's
on the other hand, you will see the liberal commentators saying also online that no, actually they were not doing enough to keep a leash on Trump and make sure Trump doesn't get out of control. Because in the first debate with Biden, I think both of them were too much on the leash, so it was a very low energy debate. This one was a standard stump speech by Trump. I mean, he was energized. He was focused on the issue of jobs. I think he didn't go all over the place. He just focused on a few issues, especially on the job creation, immigration.
That's right.
And I think he quite ably played the anti-incumbency card. I mean, this idea that, well, I'm not against someone who's running for the first time. I'm running against someone actually maybe running for the first time with the president, but she's part of this administration. So you cannot pretend as if you're coming in fresh. You should first answer and be accountable for the shortcomings of the administration. So I think that was quite an effective strategy by Trump, who, you would look at the age difference this time. I think the advantage was not very clear for Kamala Harris.
Yes, Sir Ronald, you heard Richard talking about how Trump has played ably his card of attacking the link between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. I think that's an essential tactic of the Republicans, is to link Kamala Harris to Joe Biden. And if the Americans buy that, then the undecided votes will go to President Trump, former President Trump. Sir Ronald, what do you think about that?
Well, tama yung sabi ni Richard na Trump played the incumbency card, no? Ang tawag ni Trump kay Kamala Harris, she is Biden, no? She's been running the show for 3.5 years. No? So dinikit niya talaga kay Biden at sinabi niya na she does this, she doesn't do this. Anong ginawa niya when she was vice president? So, medyo doon niya dinala yung usapan. Ikalawa, yung traditional na niyang ginagawa, play the populist playbook. At medyo successful siya dyan. Anti-immigration. No? 25 million entering the country illegally. Criminals, mga galing sa mental hospital, terrorists, etc. At nakakatawa niya sinabi, they're eating their pets. Kinakain yung pusa at aso. No? So nakakatawa. At the same time, sinabi niya na kung manalo si Kamala, there's going to be Third World War, a nuclear war. No? The populist playbook is present the problem as huge, as defining. This government is destroying, killing America, and I am the solution. So yun yung kanyang playbook. Huwag niyong kalimutan, ang audience niya ay hindi mga Europeans.
Yes.
Ang audience niya ay hindi Pilipino. Ang audience niya ay mga Amerikano, specifically yung kakaunti na undecided do sa swing states. 5 swing states will determine who will be the US president. So doon siya nag-focus. Ang weakness niya ay reproductive health bill. No? Kaya in-exaggerate na lang gusto. Even babies will be killed. 9-month-old babies will be killed, no? Dahil nga, yun yung kanyang weakness. At dun siya binanatan ni Kamala. Ang problema ni Kamala, medyo ang kanyang issues ay medyo mataas. Values, unity, no? Yun yung kanyang sinasabi. Ang mga botante kasi sa US mas emotional eh. Kaya baka mas lamang ng konti si Trump, no? Kahit mas magaling si Kamala kaysa kay Biden, no? Kaya mahalagang sabihin yun, no? This was a different debate from the previous debate. Pero nagamit ni Trump yung emotional issues ng MAGA, Make America Great Again, Third World War, immigration, and inflation. Doon siya lamang.
But what I'd
At
like-
yun ay mga issues ng swing states.
Yes, Sir Ronald, I'd like to talk more since this debate was held in Richard, in Philadelphia. And we all know that the key states, one of them is Pennsylvania, where they are 47.2% deadlocked. Now, one common issue sa Pennsylvania is fracking. It's a very important issue, contentious yan, and it's been talked about that whoever has the right solution to this problem sa fracking may get that Pennsylvania vote. Sir Ronald and Richard, what do you think? How did Donald Trump play his cards on regarding the fracking issue?
I think the problem for Kamala was that because she, there was the post-Biden stepping aside bump, right?
Yeah.
A lot of stump speeches, and I'm sure when she gave her stump speeches, there was a lot of response from the audience and all. Here, wala kasing audience, eh.
Yeah.
And here, I think, again, you would have expected Kamala to anticipate that when you're in a room with no audience and all, you cannot rely on the energy of the crowd to give credence and strength to your. So you have to be very concrete. So tama si Ronald na it makes great sense in a big audience to talk about unity and women's rights. Those are important issues. But I think here, because you're targeting a few thousand counties,
That's right.
right? In a few, very few, less than half a dozen states, you have to be much more concrete. And I think the energy level, to be honest, I think was not there. I think because the audience was not, but more importantly, the concreteness was not there. Jobs is very important in these Midwestern states, and also in some of the Sunbelt states where Kamala is very competitive right now. So I think many agree that her honeymoon is over. It was a short-lived 4-week honeymoon where she had this bump, but now she has to win over those few thousand counties in these key states, and that's where you have to be very concrete. You have to talk about jobs. You have to talk about the impact of some of the policies of the Biden administration. I think her challenge is like Mara was in 2016. How do you present yourself as fresh without bashing the guy you're trying to replace who happened to be, your former boss, right? And I think that's where Kamala Harris has not been strong enough. So I think Ronald can be more instructive at that point. Yeah.
Yes, she had momentum, but she encountered a bump dahil nga yung kanyang flip-flopping on a lot of issues like fracking. Pro, against, about defrauding the police, pro, against, etc. So dun nag-focus si Trump. At sa Pennsylvania, sabi nyo nga, it's a swing state. Ang ina-address mo dyan is less than 3% of the swing voters, the undecided. At mahalaga yung pag-emphasize ni Kamala na siya ay pro-fracking, no? I'm not sure kung nakuha niya yung 3%. Paano ang pinuntirya ni Trump ay yung kanyang flip-flopping. Kaya inuulit ko, ang target nyo rito is just the 3% of the 5 swing states like Pennsylvania, kung saan sila nagkaroon ng debate. At ang tingin ko, medyo lamang si Trump dun sa mga issues ng swing state, which is inflation and immigration. Lamang si Kamala doon sa usapin ng healthcare. Lamang si Kamala sa usapin ng housing. Lamang si Kamala sa usapin ng gun control. Pero mas dominant kasi sa swing states yung dalawang issue ng immigration at saka inflation. At doon yung pinunteriya ni Trump. Even to the extent of using na kinakain yung mga pets ng mga immigrants.
Let's talk about
Nakakatawa yun.
let's talk about the demeanor of these two debaters. Okay, sabi nila nag-prepare si Harris talaga to present herself as a prosecutor, an agent of change, and sabi nila ang kanyang plano is to present Donald Trump as the felon. Was she successful on that case?
Yeah, again, I think the expectation was set too high. I think the expectation was set too high because she's obviously younger than Biden. She's a former prosecutor. They build her up as the perfect candidate against Trump. A convicted criminal, someone who's facing a lot of charges and all of that. I just felt it was not there. I mean, obviously, if you watch it as a Democrat, you're yes to every point. But honestly, if you put yourself in the shoes of an undecided person or a non-partisan person or people like us who are not, Americans, I'm not sure it came off like the 10 out of 10 that people were expecting. Probably 7 or 8 out of 10. I think that's where it's going to tell you what's going to happen in November. It's going to be a tight race.
Yes,
It's not clear. I think no one can come out of for everything we said about Trump getting everything right, it's because also we had an expectation this could be much easier for Kamala Harris, right? And it didn't turn out that way. It looked more like a deadlock to me, honestly. And I don't think it's going to move the needle as significantly as any of the camp was hoping for, considering it's already a kind of a very, very narrow race as we speak in those swing states. Forget about the bigger race.
Yeah, we talked about Pennsylvania, Sir Ronald. I'd like to ask another key state in contention is you have Arizona, which is a border state. So that is a very important issue for them. And Nevada, which is also part border and also an issue, gambling state. So they have issues of unemployment. Now, which candidate do you think would have moved the needle a little bit with regards to Arizona and Nevada?
Again, yung issue ng immigration, si Trump ang lamang dyan. Sa unemployment, medyo lamang yung incumbent. No? Dahil kumpara dun sa gobyerno ni Trump, medyo nag-improve yung usapin ng employment. No? Pero most people, baka nakalimutan yun eh. Kaya binabalik ni Kamala. Ang strength, at the same time, the weakness of Kamala ay yung issue niya is about values. Yung issue niya is about the future. Yung issue niya is about an opportunity economy. Ang issue ni Trump ay yung nakaraan ng 3.5 years ng Biden. Yun yung pinuntirian niya. No? At tingin ko yung needle ay mas nag-move ng kaunti papunta sa kanya. No? So, pero meron ka pang 2 months eh. Meron ka pang 2 months para yan ay punuan ng mga issues at saka, pero ang strength kasi ni Trump is emotions. Hates, fears, no? Doon siya nagfo-focus. At yun yung kanyang strength. Mas cognitive, mas intellect yung focus ni Kamala. At ito yung kanyang first and probably the last debate with Trump. Hindi niya ito mauulit malamang. No? Kaya hindi na niya mababawi yung weaknesses niya sa debate na ito. At tingin ko, sa debate na ito ay medyo lamang si Trump.
I think on the immigration issue, the card for Kamala was to say how it was Trump who struck down essentially the bipartisan deal that was being negotiated.
That's right.
Obviously, the Democrats should have get it cleared last December pa. Anyone would say in retrospect. But I think she should have said, we already had a deal. We were there. We're going to fix it. Your fellow Republicans were on this. But you, because of your toxic partisanship and for your own interest, tried to block it. So you jeopardize the national interest. I just didn't feel she got it across that way. Because she could have easily said, we already had a deal, a bipartisan deal on this immigration issue. You chose your personal partisan interest over the national interest. And then she should also have come and said, I'll be more effective than Biden. Kind of throw the Biden under the bus and say, if I come in, I'm going to fix this right away and I'm going to do it even better than the bipartisan deal that we were not able to get through because of your sabotage. So she should have called Trump as a agent saboteur. You're the reason we don't have an immigration deal. I just really didn't come as strong as that. She should have really harped on that issue because it's actually the fact of the case.
You mentioned Biden, but do you think the recent order by Biden regarding a border control has affected the stance of the Democrats in this issue?
That's my point. Kasi executive orders are the de facto option for the Democrats.
So it was a last-ditch effort for the Democrats.
But the problem is that Trump is playing very well this anti-incumbency card, which usually does well during the presidential elections, and Kamala is part of the administration. So the challenge for the administration to say, you're not against the incumbency, you're against an incumbency that's being sabotaged by you, and that's why we're not effective. It's a hard argument, but it's an argument that she has to make on the immigration issue because Ronald is right. On that issue, may lamang si Trump. Also on the inflation issue, and to a certain degree, even youth unemployment. Because tama naman si Ronald na if you look at the gross numbers, the economy is doing fine. But a lot of folks from African American, Latino, youth, male population, right, are actually swinging more towards Trump. How are you going to win over those people? How are you going to make sure that you're going to create them jobs? So it's not only fracking and those kind of traditional jobs in the Rust Belts, it's also winning over these younger Gen Z folks from minority groups who are not also completely sold on Kamala Harris and the Democratic approach on this. So it was very hard, and I felt she was not as dexterous and feisty and push it, essentially late on Trump in terms of her approach as she should have been. Yeah.
All right, let's get more
Meron
insight.
siyang magandang,
Yes.
Meron siyang magandang opportunity para dun sa sinasabi sana ni Richard. Halimbawa, nung binanggit niya na 200 Republican leaders kasama dyan mga former staff ni Trump ay laban sa kanya. At ang tingin, Trump will be bad for the country. Trump will be bad for the world. Yun ay isang magandang offensive niya kay Trump, pero hindi na sustain. Nahirapan si Trump sagutin yon. Ang sagot lang niya ay, I fired them because they're not doing a good job. Pero yun ay isang very defining moment para kay Kamala. Dapat na sustain niya yun Dahil para hindi siya nasa defensive, defending the incumbency. Ang problema kasi ni Kamala, yung dilemma niya, ay hindi niya pwedeng banatan yung kanyang boss. Hindi niya pwedeng banatan si Biden. At yung strategy ni Trump ay idikit siya kay Biden. No? Dahil nga siya ay incumbent, maraming nakikitang kahinaan. Dahil very fresh pa yung incumbency. At yun yung dilemma ni Kamala. She should have gone to the offensive.